Welcome back, everybody, to the Writer Reads Short Stories. This is Lord of the Vortex, Part 1 of 3. The vortex spun out of control. We could feel the tethers slipping away. Hell, we could see the tethers breaking free on the monitors. And there was sweet nothing we could do to stop it. But we're not ready, Sophie wailed. We could end up anywhere. Shut up and hit the klaxon, Rory shouted back. Seconds later, the klaxon sounded and people hurried for their pods. Those too far away to make their pods, or the emergency pods scattered around the ship, found somewhere to brace. I wasn't even sure if the storm panels would slide into place in time, not sure how much of the hull would remain intact if they didn't. I tried to ignore the spiraling fear and give us the smoothest ride in that I could. "Pull out!" Rory screamed, and I didn't bother to dignify that with a response. I didn't even roll my eyes. The ship was going down the minute those tethers released, and a snowball in hell had a better chance of surviving than I did of stopping it. Best I could hope for was to stabilize the spin and slow the forward momentum, and that was only if I could get the ship going forward. Couldn't expect much more when vortex travel got out of hand. Vortex travel? You want to ask me this now? Fine, my hands move quicker if my brain doesn't chip in anyway, and it'll help me keep my mind off the fact I'm crashing, for the first time ever. I had a perfect record up until now. Vortex travel was invented when we discovered we could tether a ship to a point in a space vortex and use the spin to generate enough energy to punch through the vortex to another fixed point. Of course, we have to do it just right, or we could punch into another dimension instead of skimming across the surface of it and out the other side to another point in our space. And by dimension, I'm not talking space, time, and that stuff. I'm talking parallel universes. It makes for a shorter trip than taking the long way round. How do we manage it? Well, that takes more math than I've ever had. Let's just say there was this famous astrophysicist in the 51st century who tried to prove that other dimensions in space travel could be used to save on travel time for colony ships. And let's just say that he thought vortices in space could provide a door to other dimensions. And then let's just say the crazy sun succeeded beyond all expectations and leave it at that. Vortex travel works. The ship's computer calculates the jump faster than the implant inside my head, and there hasn't been a vortex travel incident in over 50 years. Looks like we're about to be the first. As to not being sucked in, well, that was an impossibility given the whole tether and dimensional shift setup was designed to do exactly that. Pull the ship through the vortex, using the momentum to slide it across the skin of the other dimension to reappear in our own dimension at another point. It's a bit like skipping a stone or flying a skipping stone or whatever. Heaven knows what was going to happen now the tethers had lost their grip early. I pushed a connection between the computer in my head and the ship's mainframe, told the ship to ride my synapses and make what corrections it could. Light flared inside my skull and I lost contact with the world around me. When I came around again, we were somewhere else. "What do you mean, we slit the dimensional envelope?" I croaked when the computer woke me up. "You have an incoming message," it said, and I opened my eyes trying to focus on my computer terminal. "Unidentified craft, you will relinquish your controls. Unidentified craft, you will relinquish your controls. Unidenti—" "All right," I managed, and my voice rasped like I'd been chewing on scrap metal. "Computer, grant access to outside control." The computer hesitated. I felt it going through its responses like an echo in my head. Noted the angle the ship was coming in on. Could feel my brain quivering on the edge of darkness as I tried to regain control. "Computer, the ship must survive." I know it's not the standard phrasing, but honestly my brain was mush and I couldn't have found the right phrasing to save myself, which is essentially what I was trying to do. "Computer, verified." At least one of us was sounding unruffled. I wanted to cuss the computer out, but knew it wouldn't make an ounce of difference. Silicon and precious metal had yet to develop emotion, and the systems linked to vortex transportation weren't allowed to be AIs. Apparently, the proximity to that amount of that type of energy did terrible things to an AI, which led to terrible things being done to the people inside the ship the AI was piloting. I knew the instant control was transferred because I'd been too addled to disconnect my mind from the control system. The incoming system did that for me, knocking me to one side with a brutal speed and efficiency I'd later come to appreciate. Kind of. Losing the connection to the ship meant I became aware of a whole lot of other stuff, like the fact every command post inside the control center had activated the survival pods built into the seats. Mine enclosed me tight enough to immobilize me, which is what it was designed to do. I read what state the ship was in from the instruments in front of me and tried to control the panic. We were crashing, and we were crashing bad. "You want to live forever?" I whispered, echoing the voices of 1,000 Marine sergeants on my father's side, horrified beyond belief when someone responded. "No. Do you?" It took me a minute to work out that the voice was coming through the comms unit and not being dropped directly into my skull. That was a relief. "Not really," I said, thinking about it, "but a little longer would be nice." "Then the lady's wish is my command." "Sure, I bet you say that to all the girls." It was out before I could stop it, and I blushed red to the roots of my hair. Fortunately, there was no one there to see me. My unknown contact laughed. "Not all, and not usually to those I haven't seen in the flesh, so to speak." I was still pondering that statement when he spoke again. "Your ship. It is not a build we recognize." "It's one of the newer models." "Newer models of what?" "Tether ships." "Tether ships?" "Vortex transports." "Ah." There was a wealth of understanding in that single aspiration, and I felt suddenly afraid. "Where are we?" "What went wrong?" "The tethers slipped, broke free early. Where—" "Your ship's computer was quite correct. You've split the dimensional membrane, fallen inside the vortex." The meaning hit me like a hand twisting in my gut. "You're saying we've fallen into another dimension?" I whispered. I kicked against the sides of the pod, wanting to open it up, wanting to get out and do something, wanting desperately to run away. My contact didn't help. "You say that like it's a bad thing." Something in his voice. Something. "You mean it's not?" "Of course not. It's just unprecedented, that is all." The ship shuddered. "Oops." "What do you mean, oops?" I asked, and then a second jolt ran through the ship, hard enough to shake the pod a second time. The silence remained, but I stopped worrying about it when the comms went to static and then cut out completely. I stopped worrying and moved into sheer mind-numbing terror when the pod started to vibrate and then to shake and then went into a spinning freefall that only signified one thing. The ship had hit and was breaking apart. I didn't even want to think about the sort of tumbling that would result in emergency pods tearing free of titanium mounts. I didn't want to think of what was happening to the other pods, or the people who'd only had time to brace. They were going to be toast. I felt the computer link snap inside my head, felt it like a plug being pulled, was hit by a data download seconds before. "Hell's bells!" I screamed, feeling the data fill the implant's memory and start to spill out into my head. I tried to direct it into the pod's memory, knew it wouldn't fit, and screamed again. It was the last sound I made for quite some time. I woke to a gentle, somewhat familiar voice. "Hey, you in there? Hello, pretty lady, are you there?"